It is time to reawaken this industrial giant, to get government back within its means, and to lighten our punitive tax burden. And these will be our first priorities, and on these principles there will be no compromise. I can hear you! I can hear you! The rest of the world hears you! And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us.
Never give in. Never, never, never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy.
But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.
Apostle Claver T. Kamau-Imani on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
Hey, what's up, Saints and Patriots? Apostle Claver T. Kamau-Imani, RagingElePhantsRadio.com, the rebellious voice of Texas liberty. So glad you could join me. Brand new week getting started up here, and a lot to talk about. Condolences, of course, to the Bush family. Touching moments. Absolutely touching moments, and the U.S. knows how to do it right. You know, people talk about the pomp and circumstance that the British are able to throw down on, but Americans can do it pretty good too. Texans can do it pretty good too. Today's program, President of the Texas Nationalist Movement, Daniel Miller, is going to join me. We've got to talk about the Legislative Action Workshop. Although we're still analyzing the 2018 midterm general election, and we're gonna have to go over some stuff today, some of the stuff that you guys have missed. But we have to talk about what's happening in the 2019 legislative session, and Daniel Miller and others are focusing on that. The Texas Nationalist Movement is focusing on that, and beginning this weekend, this Friday, December the 7th, Texas Nationalist Movement, the TNM, is going to be doing something that's absolutely groundbreaking as far as organizing politically here in the Lone Star State for the Liberty Movement and for hashtag Texit. The Legislative Action Workshop. It's going to be all done through cyberspace, digitally, over the internets. And the guest lineup is just amazing, utterly amazing, including Freedom Caucus people from the Pink Dome. And it is an international lineup. The lineup is star-studded. We got some guy from Quebec. Do you know that Quebec has already had 2 independence referendums? We got a guy from UKIP who was also involved with hashtag Brexit, Greece leaving the EU. Then he goes to Britain and he's part of Brexit. We're going to talk about the activities of the Freedom Caucus, the importance of the Texas Speaker of the House, who's not going to be Dennis Bonnen. So yours truly, when I say we, because yours truly is going to be a lead moderator on some of this stuff. If I can get my head around some of these subject matters, because as you know, I was schooled by the government, so my intellectual achievement and attainment is rather meager, but I'll try to have a conversation with these heavyweights, see if I can offer them a worthy use of their time. But you don't want to miss it. Go to the TNM's website. You can get there through RagingElephantsRadio.com. Go to RagingElephantsRadio.com. Get to the website of the TNM. Get you a copy of Texit and sign up to be a virtual attendee to the Texas Nationalist Movement's Legislative Action Workshop. It's going to be off the chain. It's an honor for me to be a facilitator of the conversations. And there's going to be an awesome conversation at the end to cap everything off, because this is going to be over several days. An incredible panel on the Alamo. What's going on with the Alamo? What can be done about the Alamo? And believe it or not, former Land Commissioner Jerry Patterson is going to be headlining that panel. And we've got our differences with Jerry on a few things. Sure enough, especially when it comes to the border invasion. But even a broken clock is right twice a day. So we're going to have a great conversation with Jerry Patterson about the Alamo. And all this is going to happen virtually. Virtually, I said. So you don't have to spend any gas. You don't have to spend any money whatsoever. You can attend in your PJs. You don't have to comb your hair. Some of y'all don't have to brush your teeth. We're not going to go there. But you don't want to miss it. It begins on Friday, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th. It's going to be crazy. And already some additional panelists that are scheduled for later on in the month. So much interest, had to kind of stretch them out a little bit. So much interest because this is so easy for you to attend. So you want to go. Daniel's going to be on later to talk about it. Also on today's program, I'm cranking it up because, you know, first time on Raging Elephants Radio, his premiere on the Texas Network, Ricardo, I got to do it right, Ricardo Regalado. Now this brother is a brother. And we're going to have a conversation about the communities of color, the black community, the Hispanic community, because he's out there. And his associates and his circle of friends, they do talk politics. You know, politics throughout the ages has been spoken about as if it was sports or warfare. It's always a topic of conversation. Rarely can you avoid it. And Ricardo's line of work, he's out there, he has a large circle of friends, and he talks kind of funny because he's not from here, but he got here as quick as he can. He's actually from the East Coast, New York, New Jersey area. I think he may have lived a couple of other places as well, but he is a legal migrant from the communist territory of the Atlantic Eastern Seaboard, from the Apple. I can't remember which borough he's from. We'll get into that. But he's going to tell you his story of why he decided, as a man of color, a Hispanic man, to come down here to Texas. We'll get into his heritage and his ethnicity and his political background. It's just going to be a fascinating conversation. I'm going to have him on more than once. Now, as many of you know, let's get into just a little bit of news here. Ken Paxton is suing San Antonio, Texas, the first big lawsuit dealing with the Sanctuary Cities law. He was on the Foxes yesterday, and this is what Ken Paxton had to say on the matter.
In Texas. Explain to us why you are suing San Antonio. So our legislature about a year and a half ago passed a sanctuary city bill that required that cities and other entities like that allow law enforcement to ask about immigration status, and they're required to turn over illegals who are requested by the federal government. In this case, the chief of police in San Antonio found 12 illegals who were being smuggled into the country, and after being requested to turn them over by the federal government, refused to do so and released them without any criminal background check and without any concern for the children that were involved.
And you're suing San Antonio for what? 10, 11 million dollars?
Yeah, so it's a violation. It's a $25,000, just about a $25,500 a day per violation. So for every day they're in violation, they're potentially liable.
What are the possibilities that you'll actually get that money?
You know, we're optimistic. We think it's pretty clear that the police chief, that the city violated state law and federal law. And so this is obviously our first lawsuit, but we investigated this and clearly believe that the police chief violated state law.
You know, the thing is, though, every time we hear that, the courts don't seem to agree. The sanctuary city has withstood all legal challenges. As this president ran on fighting sanctuary cities, he'd want to try to follow through on it. The courts have stopped him.
Well, that is certainly the case, but in our case, we actually went all the way to the Fifth Circuit. Our law was struck down initially, but was allowed to continue by the Fifth Circuit. So we're pursuing it because our law is absolutely in place, and we plan on enforcing it.
Senate Bill 4.
Well, it's on, Saints and Patriots. It's absolutely, totally, 100% on. It's on. It's on like a pot of neck bones. I'm telling you right here, right now. And this is the way it should have been all along. This is what we've been asking for here in Texas for years, since even before 2013 and the inception of Raging Elephants Radio. During the 2014 Dirty Diaper Invasion 1.0, we were calling for, will you guys, under the Pink Dome, will you please, those of you who reside in Austin, do something about the invasion? Dirty Diaper Invasion 2.0, summer of 2015. Will you guys please do something? You make all these promises about wanting border security, but you don't do anything about it. Listen, I give Greg Abbott a hard time because he's Mr. Do the Easy Thing. That's his political ideology. Do the easy thing. And the Sanctuary Cities bill, which he used political capital to get across the finish line, got to give him credit for that. It was an easy thing to do, actually. I mean, it's a minimal step that could be done. A minimal. We need more. It was an easy thing to do. Why? Because the people are crying out for it. He campaigns on it. Oh, we put $1.8 billion in the border security, blah, blah, blah. 0.5% of total government expenditures for the state of Texas. Really? You're going to boast on that? I guess the electorate doesn't know that that's 0.5% of total government expenditures. That's not a real priority when it comes to Texas governance, Greg Abbott. But you got to give him credit on the sanctuary cities. I mean, he used capital, political capital. He jawboned on it. He wanted it. Didn't want the bathroom bill. He didn't want that one. He used no political capital on that one. If it died a slow or quick death, he really wouldn't care. But the political expedience of the Sanctuary Cities bill, it must have polled well, because that's what he does: hold his finger up in the air and decide, well, what's the easy thing to do? What is the least controversial thing to do? Now, wouldn't it? It's wonderful that it's San Antonio, isn't it? How appropriate that it would be San Antonio that gets sued first. I would have thought Dallas. I would have thought Austin for sure. Travis County for sure. But San Antonio. The irony cannot, no, it's not even irony. It's a Captain Obvious moment. Of course San Antonio would do something like this. Of course they would thumb their nose at a Republican administration. Of course they would thumb their nose at Greg Abbott. Of course they would dare Ken Paxton. I mean, this is the home of federal judge Orlando Garcia, right, who told Ken Paxton with a finger snap, you're going to change all of the birth certificates in the state of Texas to say parent 1, parent 2. We'll no longer say father and mother. It'll say parent 1, parent 2. You're going to do it. You're going to do it right now. And Ken Paxton said, yes, sir. Please, sir, may I have another? That was Ken Paxton's response. So, not necessarily payback, but this is nice. This is really nice. San Antonio deserves this lawsuit. Houston deserves one. I wish they'd go ahead and just hammer Houston. And I wish they'd go ahead and hammer Dallas. And I wish they'd go ahead and hammer Travis and Austin and El Paso and the numerous places, you know, Brownsville, McAllen, Del Rio, Laredo. But oddly enough, those cities down there may actually not be sanctuary cities, but we'll find out, hopefully. But how nice that it's San Antonio. I want to break down this audio from Ken Paxton because there was some remarkable stuff in there. But I'm going to take a quick break here and come back. And there was some remarkable things said by Ken Paxton and actually by the host of the Foxes. Interesting to me. We'll get to it in just a moment. Raging Elephants Radio, the rebellious voice of Texas liberty. And come back, and there were some remarkable things said by Ken Paxton and actually by the host of the Foxes. Interesting to me. We'll get to it in just a moment. Raging Elephants Radio, the rebellious voice of Texas liberty.
RER Cross is the Christian programming of RagingElephantsRadio.com. Pastor Edwin Guerra delivers passionate sermons.
And then I'm reminded, God is greater than our feelings. There are times that you don't want to be Jesus to people because you just don't feel worthy. God is greater than how we feel. And that is our hope. We are called to be the hands and feet of Jesus. We are not called to be
RER Cross is the Christian programming of RagingElephantsRadio.com. Pastor Edwin Guerra delivers passionate sermons.
And then I'm reminded, God is greater than our feelings. There are times that you don't want to be Jesus to people
Enjoy Pastor Edwin
because
Guerra
you just
at
don't
8:30 a.m.
feel
and 8:30
worthy.
p.m. Sundays
God
on RER Cross,
is
right here
greater
on
than how we feel.
Proven results.
One of the premier
And
property
that
management
is our
companies
hope.
in Texas,
We are
providing below
called
market
to be
rates
the
with
hands
above
and
market
feet of
amenities
Jesus.
and service. Hartman has only
We are
operated
not
commercial office
called
properties since
to be
1983.
emotional,
Office space at
up
an
and
affordable
down,
price by saving businesses a significant
Christianese
amount of
type
money
of
by
people.
keeping taxes, utilities, and maintenance low.
We are called to be bold and stand firm on what we believe, even if you don't feel like it.
Enjoy Pastor Edwin Guerra 8:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. Sundays on RER Cross, right here on RagingElephantsRadio.com.
Hartman, the power of proven results.
One of the premier property management companies in Texas, providing below market rates with above market amenities and service. Hartman has owned and operated commercial office properties since 1983, offering premium office space at an affordable price by saving businesses a significant amount of money by keeping taxes, utilities, and maintenance low. With over 30 years in commercial leasing in Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas, we have learned exactly what our customers require.
Hartman, the power of proven results.
Managed on Christian principles with a strong dedication to community benevolence. Whether you need 1,000 or 10,000 square foot of office space, Hartman has that space in one of nearly 50 Texas locations.
Hartman, the power of proven results.
Energy efficient buildings, customer-friendly experts, supporters of conservative causes. A Texas-owned and operated business for 30 years. Texas, a proud corporate sponsor of RagingElephantRadio.com.
Hartman, the power of proven results.
Visit Hartman online, hi-reach.com. Call 800-880-2212 or click the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com. What's up, Saints and Patriots? I'm Apostle Claver, a proud Texas nationalist, and I'm here to tell you about Texas. For 25 years, Daniel Miller has been working to see the rebirth of the Republic of Texas. His work has been hard, but his passion is deep. For many Texans, there is a deep yearning, a burning to see the prophecy of Sam Houston come true. But the desire of their hearts comes with many questions. Texas has the answer. It's the new book from Daniel Miller and Defiance Press. Texas, why and how Texas will leave the Union. Texas charts the path to Texas independence. This riveting book of facts and philosophy will soothe your anxiety about the coming change and build your confidence that Texans can get it done. You'll want to buy several copies for your family and friends. Like I said about this governmental mess, the only way out is out. And the best part of Texas, I'm in it. Texas, why and how Texas will leave the Union. It's selling like hotcakes. Buy it on RagingElephantRadio.com. It's no secret about...
Information, communication, action. RagingElephantsRadio.com.
Hey, go to RagingElephantsRadio.com and you can check out my international model face. There it is right there. It's the least you could do since it was basically a demand. Claver, you must live video stream. I used to be able to do the show naked. I can't do that anymore. Because I have to live video stream. Thanks everybody for that. Really appreciate it. I want to get back to this Ken Paxton thing. This is what he said yesterday about suing San Antonio.
In Texas.
Explain to us why you are suing San Antonio.
So our legislature about a year and a half ago passed a sanctuary city bill that required that cities and other entities like that allow law enforcement to ask about immigration status, and they're required to turn over illegals who are requested by the federal government. In this case, the chief of police in San Antonio found 12 illegals who were being smuggled into the country, and after being requested to turn them over by the federal government, refused to do so and released them without any criminal background check and without any concern for the children that were involved.
And you're suing...
See, that's straight up sanctuary city, isn't it not? That's straight up sanctuary city. Look, you got 12 people. The federal government says, we want you to hold them, please. They're in their custody. They're there. This is catch and release in the heart of Texas. There they are. We want to hold them. No background check. Don't know who they are. This has got to be a policy. It can't be just a one-off. Sure, 12, but I mean, what if it was 20? What if it was 60? This is just 12.
San Antonio for what? 10, 11 million dollars?
Yeah, so it's a violation. It's a $25,000, just about a $25,500 a day per violation. So for every day they're in violation, they're potentially liable.
What are the possibilities that you'll actually get that money?
Well, it's easy. I mean, it may lead to another lawsuit, but funds that go from the state into the coffers of San Antonio can certainly be withheld. $11 million really isn't that, I mean, it's not a lot of money. When it comes, you know, in the grand scheme of things, when you're talking about billions, 11 million really isn't that much. But they don't care in San Antonio. The leftists don't care. Those that are within the state, that are against the sovereignty of Texas, that are complicit in the invasion, on the side of the invaders, working for the conquest of their very own land, is insurrection, is what it is. Sedition is what it is. They don't even give them a background check. They don't care. They don't care that it's about $11 million. Hey, look, we don't want to be fined $11 million. So I thought there's a provision. Isn't there a provision in SB 4 that says, hey, we can arrest the office holders. Now, the jackasses under the pink dome, of course, they wouldn't want that, because in these urban areas, in these sanctuary cities, I mean, that puts a lot of pressure on the jackasses, because they're the ones that hold office. Who do you think holds the offices, the municipal offices in San Antonio? The county offices, for that matter, in Bexar County. It's the jackasses. Isn't there a provision in SB 4 that says they can be arrested, that they personally can be held liable? Now, if you're going into their pockets for $11 million, oh, they'll stop this mess. But in my view, it's justified to go after their pay. It's justified to go after their net worth, because they're being paid by the people. And they are promoting lawlessness. They are promoting invasion. They are assisting in conquest. Do some civil asset forfeiture on them for being complicit in the invasion, for doing damage to our economy, making us less safe, allowing the plunder of the people's treasury, just flouting the laws, flouting SB 4, flouting the power of the executive branch in Washington, D.C. to say, no, you're not allowed to come in. Go personally after those who are perpetrating this insurrection. Go personally after the chief of police in San Antonio. Go personally after the sheriff if the sheriff is the one that's committing this. Don't be suing the city. What's $11 million? Around here in Houston, I mean that's about a week worth of tolls. What's $11 million? It may be a day worth of tolls, actually. What's $11 million to some place like Houston? What's $11 million to a place like San Antonio? They get that in taxes from SeaWorld and the amusement park around the Alamo every couple of months, probably. Hit them personally. And some of these anchors, man, this is why you need to listen to Raging Elephants Radio. Listen to this next portion of the conversation.
You know, we're optimistic. We think it's pretty clear that the police chief, that the city violated state law and federal law. And so this is obviously our first lawsuit, but we investigated this and clearly believe that the police chief violated state law.
You know, the thing is, though, every time we hear that.
Another good thing about this is that when Abbott was Attorney General, and boy, he rode this all the way to the governor's mansion, did he? He was all about suing Washington, suing Obama. We've sued Barack insane. Well, he didn't say insane Obama, because, I mean, we have the trademark on that. But we've sued the Obama administration 52 times. We lost 48, but we sued him. He rode that all the way to the governor's mansion, didn't he? But here it is, Texans enforcing the rule of law on Texans the way it ought to be. We can't make Washington, D.C. do a doggone thing. And Washington, D.C. shouldn't be making us do a doggone thing. That's the whole thing about #Texan. I mean, Texans can handle the business of Texas. And here's the Attorney General of Texas smacking around a municipality and telling them you better get in line. Could we count on Beauregard, Jeff Sessions, to have done this? No. Could we count on the acting Attorney General Whitaker, whatever his first name is? I wouldn't even know his name if it wasn't like wall-to-wall coverage on the Communist News Network. Could we count on him to deal with a San Antonio or a Dallas or an Austin or an El Paso or an RGV? No, we can't. A Kristen Nielsen, can we depend on her? No, we can't. Texans can make Ken Paxton do what is right. Texans can make Greg Abbott do what is right. Texans can apply pressure on Dan Patrick and any other issue that the state feels, the electorate is compelled to address. It could be the Railroad Commission. It could be the Land Commission, this whole Alamo thing. We can deal with it. Is the Department of Interior, the Secretariat of Iniquities, going to help us with the Alamo? No. Texans can deal with that. And here's Texans dealing with a municipality that's out of line. It's about time. The states created the federal government, and the states created the municipalities. The state is the one that issues the charters for municipalities. So they have the governing authority over municipalities and counties. And then here comes Kilmeade.
Violated state law.
You know, the thing is, though, every time we hear that, the courts don't seem to agree. The sanctuary city has withstood all legal challenges. As this president ran on fighting sanctuary cities,
it's not about the president, Kilmeade. Everything is about the president. This president. We don't care on this particular issue. We shouldn't even have to care about what Donald Trump does or doesn't do. Texans should be able to handle this issue. It's being handled by Texans. Hey, do what you want to do, Donald. President Donald, do what you want to do, man. But we're not going to allow this invasion to continue. We're not going to allow our treasury to be plundered. We're not going to allow our governance anymore to be influenced by this invasion. We will repel the invasion. If you will not do it, President Trump, we will. The president came in here. He's campaigning against sanctuary cities. He's campaigning. It hasn't done a doggone thing about it. Beauregard hasn't done a doggone thing about it. Whitaker hasn't done a doggone thing about it. The Congress hasn't done a doggone thing about it. You got to hit these people. You got to hit them hard. It's an invasion, I tell you. It's warfare, I tell you. What is the purpose of invasion? Conquest. How many times have you heard this, Saints and Patriots? What is the purpose of invasion? Conquest. Take control of your government, your economy, and your culture. They're doing it without firing in a shot. Listen. George H.W. Bush right now is getting the deserved acclaim because the Soviet Empire fell without nukes going off. And Central America and poverty-stricken states are conquering the United States of America and, more importantly, Texas without firing a shot. They're doing it with toddlers in dirty diapers. And they've got to be more aggressive. This isn't even enough. This whole suing of San Antonio by Ken Paxton, this is not enough. Dan Patrick initially ran the 2014 campaign, I'm going to get rid of the DREAM Act. He made it a campaign issue. He brought it up in lieutenant governor debates. Dan Patrick did. The DREAM Act is still in full effect. It has not been repealed. It has not been pulled up by the root. It has not been burnt on a fire. It's still alive. The DREAM Act. And it is awful. Okay, President Trump, whatever you do on DACA, do your thing. But we're going to turn off the magnets here in the Lone Star State. Okay, President Trump, you can do what you want to do as far as the 14th Amendment. Do what you can do. We really would appreciate a proper interpretation of the 14th Amendment being applied through law and execution of the law. We really would. But we're going to do what we can do down here in Texas. We're not going to issue birth certificates to anchor babies. We're not going to do it. Not going to do it. Some hospitals down in the valley had already made that decision unilaterally. I don't think they even got sued for it. The state should codify that. Not even enough. Kill Meade. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to media.
All legal challenges. As this president ran on fighting sanctuary cities, he went to try to follow through on it. The courts have stopped him.
Well, that is certainly the case, but in our case, we actually went all the way to the Fifth Circuit. Our law was struck down initially, but was allowed to continue by the Fifth Circuit. So we're pursuing it because our law is absolutely in place, and we plan on enforcing it.
Senate Bill 4.
Now let me make this point about media. This is what I mean. Now, anybody knows SB4, anybody that's been following Raging Elephants Radio, knows the life of SB4, knows the life of the Sanctuary Cities law here in Texas, and knows that it's in full effect because the Fifth Circuit in New Orleans backed it up. The Fifth Circuit in NOLA said, yeah, it's constitutional, get on with it. But Kilmeade doesn't know that. Why? Because he's in New York. He didn't know. He didn't know Texas. This is why we're the Texas Network. This is why if you're not listening, you're not learning. This is why you need to be a part of the 2+2 challenge. This is why you need to turn some of the national talking heads, the pundits, the national big corporate media off. They don't know what they're talking about. When it comes to Texas, they don't know what they're talking about. There's Kilmeade. Oh, isn't the court's gonna stop this? No, Kilmeade, it's already gone through a judicial process. It's already been litigated, dude. And if you knew Texas, you'd already know that. But maybe you need to listen to Raging Elephants Radio a little bit more, Kilmeade. Ducey, Ainsley. What do they know? Hey, the courts always stop it. They didn't stop this, dude. It's in full effect. It's about time it gets applied, and it should be applied more frequently. It should be applied aggressively. People ought to be getting sued on a daily basis. Strike some fear in these people. These facilitators of conquest. These collaborators with invaders. And go after them. Go get them. Dude, it's Christmas time. We're going to go after you, just like Mueller goes after innocent people and bankrupts and stuff. Okay, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We're going to go after you, and we're going to have reason to do it because you're collaborating with invaders. Got to talk about the gender war. Politically speaking, of course. Raging Elephants Radio. After this quick timeout, Raging Elephants Radio, the rebellious voice of Texas liberty, and go to the website RagingElephantsRadio.com. Scroll down in the right column. You'll see our YouTube box over there, YouTube window. Little bug says live now. Click on that, and you can see the live stream. Daniel's going to be live video streaming. Ricardo is going to be live video streaming. We're going to have a lot of fun. I am. I love my job. I love this work. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you are learning something. I hope you're being edified. This is Raging Elephants Radio.
RER Cross is the Christian programming of RagingElephantsRadio.com. Pastor Stephen Broden is a featured Bible teacher.
What runs interference with God's instructive word are Satan, the world, and the flesh. Out of these three comes doubt, fear, and unbelief. Doubt and fear leads to unbelief. Unbelief, more than any other sin, is targeted towards the very character and integrity of God Himself. It challenges God's promises, His stated purposes, and casts dispersion on His plan for you and all who believe. This is what Satan did in the Garden of God with Adam and Eve. Satan led them to believe God was holding back on them and was unwilling untruthful about the consequences if they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Enjoy Pastor Stephen Broden, 9:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. Sundays on RER Cross, right here on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers. More than an actual product, this is the name of the company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECV is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool thing. No one's better in Texas to intro you to the world and tech of vaping than electronic cigarette vaporizers. Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris will teach you every feature of the dozens of vaping devices to choose from. ECV has a cornucopia of flavors, from fruity to cookies or even tobacco, each made from all natural products. No carcinogens, no smoky smell, and the choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
Green Air Technology will sanitize, sterilize, and defunkifies your home. Our treatment utilizes a high-output biocleaner to eradicate bacteria, germs, and airborne pathogens and allergens in any home, vehicle, or facility. So if your facility or home smells funky like a bow-legged monkey, call Green Air Technologies. We are dedicated to eliminating odor and airborne contaminants at home, at work, or even in your vehicle.
Now featuring Biosphere.
Call Jim Green at 346-254-9217 or go to greenairtech.com. 346-254-9217 or go to greenairtech.com.
TV and radio are great mediums for mass instruction, but for those times when you just want to hold something in your hands, there is the Damn Good Times. I still love the newspaper, but I'm tired of the liberal bias. That's why I reach for the Damn Good Times. Always full of interesting stories and great information, and you can have it delivered to your doorstep by calling 281-332-5710 or sending an email to news@thedamngoodtimes.com. Just $50 a year will get a full subscription. It's a great gift for all the patriots you know. Do it now.
Here's how to use the RER app on your commute and get the latest Liberty 411. First, download the RER app on your smart device, phone or tablet, Apple or Android. Search Raging Elephants Radio in your App Store or Google Play and hit the search button on your keyboard. Connect your device to your car audio system. Do it via Bluetooth or auxiliary jack. You riding old school? Stick in some quality earbuds and enjoy the serious HD stereo. No excuses. It's here. RER app.
You're enjoying Apostle Claver T. Kamau-Imani on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
On the day's program, Daniel Miller and Ricardo Regarado. And Ricardo talks funny because he's not from around here, but he got here as quick as he could. And been wanting to get Ricardo on for quite some time, and finally got a spot for him, and I wanted to get it. You know, it's going to be great talking to him. You're going to enjoy getting to know Ricardo, the double R. You know, I've been saying for quite some time, it's been a war on men, is what it's been. And generally, when I talk to Angela, when I talk to Tina, when I talk to Alice and Tracy and Barbara and it's a consensus unanimously that it really is a war on men, not a war on women, as the Democrats their political narrative. But they went after, and I don't know if they played the long game on this, but in this election cycle, boy, did women go after men, Democratic women. They just went after Democrats, period. I mean, went after Republicans, period. Women, Democratic women, went after 1/3 of the Republican caucus. 1/3. The Republican conference under the Pink Dome here in Texas. And they were relatively successful. But it has to be this through pedestrian observation. It has to be noted. It had to be some sort of plan. They specifically went out and said, we are going to have 60 women on the ballot out of 150 races in the Texas House. We're going to have 60 women on the ballot, and we're going to have 30 of those women go directly head to head with Republicans. I think it's a gender war, straight out gender war. And I wonder what it portends for culture and society, because it's playing out right here in Texas, and it's playing out on the ballot, and it's playing out politically. What does it mean for dating? I gotta tell you this. I gotta tell you this story, guys. I really do. Talking to a guy, friend of mine, and I hear nightmarish stories about online dating, which is really is inaccurate, right? It's how you meet the person isn't necessarily a predetermined outcome. It's still about the individuals. It's still about the chemistry, whether it's Match or eHarmony. I mean, I'm a single guy. I've been on them, and tell the truth, you've been on them too. Okay, so let's be real here. Let's just keep it real. This is 2018, and it's been around since like the 1990s. So everybody's been on one. It's just the way things are done. And so I'm talking to my friend, and he's like, "Hey, man, going through these profiles." And he was talking about, I think he was talking about on Match. Going through these profiles, and it literally says, he's looking at the women, and it literally says, if you're a Trump supporter, keep on going. Don't click on me. I don't want to know you. There's no shot, no way, no how. It has literally become an open factor. Now, when you're doing a profile on one of these online sites, they will ask you what your political affiliation is. They will. And you can make a determination. Well, do I want to go out with a Democrat? Great legs, but she's a Democrat. Do I really want to do that? That's a decision you can make. Rarely would you see, if you are a Republican, don't bother. Rarely would you see something like that. If you're a Republican, don't bother. Oh, just full disclaimer, I hadn't been on one of those sites in a while. I'm just saying, because, I'm locked up. So, hey. No thank you. No thank you. No more. But you would never see, well, if you're a Republican, don't bother. Just keep on stepping. You wouldn't see that. I don't know what guys write, because I wouldn't see a guy's profile. I'm only going to see the profile of women. That's all I'm going to see. So I don't know what guys write. Maybe some guys are saying, hey, if you're a Democrat, keep on stepping. Maybe some guys are saying, if you're a Trump supporter, keep on stepping. But I never saw anything like that until Trump got elected. And this guy is saying that people are on there saying, hey, if you voted for Trump, if you're a Trump supporter, women are saying this, keep on trucking. Keep on going. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. I mean, this is definitely PTSD. This is some sort of Trump derangement syndrome. If you voted for Trump, if you're a Trump supporter, if you like Donald Trump, keep on trucking. Don't bother. Don't click like on don't send me an email. No. Wow. Straight up gender war. And it's playing out politically. One of the things I want to talk to Ricardo about is the difference in how black men and black women, Hispanic women voted here in Texas. It's a big disparity. I mean, how does this play out, not just in dating, but in marriages? Is the divorce rate going to rise because the wife voted for Trump and the husband didn't? The husband's a never Trumper and the wife is wearing one of those red caps? What's going to happen? Are there going to be divorces over this kind of stuff? Because apparently, online, they're telling people, hey, if you voted for Trump, I don't want to. And it's playing out politically. Black men are more likely to vote Republican than black women. I mean, hardly no black women vote Republican. Here in Texas, black men seem to be a little bit more accepting to the possibility of voting Republican. At least they've got their ears open. And there's a gender gap. We already have problems in the black community as far as family, men being present in the home, out of wedlock births, the genocide of the abortion industry. And now you have another problem politically, and it ain't no joke. We're talking about taking the Thanksgiving dinner dilemma or the Christmas dinner dilemma, family political conversation minefield, to a whole nother level now. It's playing out politically. This gender war. I wonder what it means. Hey, find somebody quick. If you don't already have somebody, find somebody quick. Love them like there's no tomorrow, and you don't have to worry about any of this. You really don't. Thank you, Jesus. Whew.
Hartman, the power of proven results.
One of the premier property management companies in Texas, providing below-market rates with above-market amenities and service. Hartman has owned and operated commercial office properties since 1983, offering premium office space at an affordable price by saving businesses a significant amount of money by keeping taxes, utilities, and maintenance low. With over 30 years in commercial leasing in Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas, we have learned exactly what our customers require.
Hartman, the power of proven results.
Managed on Christian principles with a strong dedication to community benevolence. Whether you need 1,000 or 10,000 square foot of office space, Hartman has that space in one of nearly 50 Texas locations.
Hartman, the power of proven results.
Energy-efficient buildings, customer-friendly experts, supporters of conservative causes. A Texas-owned and operated business for 30 years. Price by saving businesses a significant amount of money by keeping taxes, utilities, and maintenance low. With over 30 years in commercial leasing in Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas, we have learned exactly what our customers require.
Hartman, the power of proven results.
RagingElephantRadio.com. What's up, Saints and Patriots? I'm Apostle Claver, a proud Texas nationalist, and I'm here to tell you about Texas. For 25 years, Daniel Miller has been working to see the rebirth of the Republic of Texas. His work has been hard, but his passion is deep. For many Texans, there is a deep yearning, a burning to see the prophecy of Sam Houston come true. But the desire of their hearts comes with many questions. Texas has the answer. It's the new book from Daniel Miller and Defiance Press. Texas, why and how Texas will leave the Union. Texas charts the path to Texas independence. This riveting book of facts and philosophy will soothe your anxiety about the coming change and build your confidence that Texans can get it done. You'll want to buy several copies for your family and friends. Like I said about this governmental mess, the only way out is out. And the best part of Texas, I'm in it. Texas, why and how Texas will leave the Union. It's selling like hotcakes. Buy it.
on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
Hey, Barry the Music Man here for Tejas Smoke Depot. They have everything you need when it comes to smoke. Check out the 150 square foot walk-in humidor filled with a huge selection of fine cigars. Or give them a call at 830-990-1472 and order up what you want. Maybe you like to roll your own. They have it. Maybe you need a gift for a smoker in the family. How about a new pipe? They have a large selection, even a cross-section of great beers in stock. In a hurry, come by and use the drive-thru. Located at 1639 West Highway 290 in Fredericksburg, Texas. Out of town? Visit them at the website, TejasSmokeDepot.com, or call 830-990-1472. That's 830-990-1472. It's smoking.
Can you do it? The RER 2+2 Challenge. Howdy, rowdy Texans. It's me, E, the millennial voice of RER. I'm a big fan of RagingElePhantsRadio.com. More Texas voters should be listening to RER every day. A better, deeper knowledge of how Texas works will help Texas voters to make Texas more like Texas. The RER 2+2 Challenge. Listen to RER 2 hours a day, every day, for 2 weeks. You'll learn more about Texas politics in 2 weeks than you've ever known. Mark it on your daily calendar. Set your phone alarm. The RER 2+2 Challenge. 2 hours a day, every day, for 2 weeks. RagingElePhantsRadio.com. The rebellious voice of Texas liberty.
Get to know Texas politics. RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
He's the president of the Texas Nationalist Movement, based out of Nederland, Texas, in the heart of the Golden Triangle. He's Daniel Miller. Daniel, your mug has the skull and crossbones on it, man.
That tells you what kind of day it's going to be.
Say that again. I missed that, man.
I said that's going to tell you what. That tells you what sort of day it's going to be.
Are you just waking up, Daniel?
No. I am definitely not just what. Does this look like? Does it look like I sleep in this? Really?
I won't go that far, but how's Kara, man?
She's good. She's working hard at it, getting all the final details nailed down for the legislative action workshop. Starts on Friday, so
it's the countdown. It's the countdown. Is she frazzled or is she cool under pressure?
No, she's ice cold. She's about her business, man. You want to talk about a work ethic? I will tell you right now that if you ever want to know what a real deal old school work ethic looks like, go spend a day with her. I mean, she grinds from the time she rolls out of the rack to the time she rolls in. So it makes for a very productive household.
I'm excited about the Legislative Action Workshop. I was talking about it at the beginning of the program. Really want to pump it up all this week going into Friday. You recognize it. I think anybody who understands what's going to be happening over beginning Friday and the next few days over the weekend and beyond really realizes that politically for the liberty movement here in Texas, something like this really has never been done. A confab like this, a symposium, a conference like this, all digital, all through cyberspace. Nobody has to get out of their pajamas. And they're going to be godsmacked about some of the stuff that's going to be coming up and some of the people that are on the lineup. It's amazing, Daniel.
Yeah, we've used internally in the TNM, we've used this sort of tool before. Our leadership team, we use video conference extensively, and we've done webinars and things of that nature using this platform. That's how we handle a lot of sort of meetings and training. But you understand that because we're statewide, we're all over Texas and beyond. Geography is kind of an issue for us, and so we have to look at it from a practical standpoint, and that is, how do we get all these people in these disparate areas together and disseminate information like we were in a room together? And one of the things that it does is it lowers the barrier to entry. I think, you and I have actually had a conversation about how our side of things needs to really begin to utilize the technology. I mean, it's a force multiplier. So, it allows us to take our national leadership team, for example. Our field director is up in Canton. Our content team leader is in San Antonio. Our communications director is in Austin. Our organizational development is in Yorktown. The list goes on and on. Our membership director is in Kilgore. So it allows us to get everybody in one room. So we thought, why not apply this same technology and just open it up to everyone? I mean, our members and supporters are used to this sort of thing, but why not open it up to sort of the larger base of supporters and even the public, and utilize it to deliver key information to get people ready for the legislative session. So it's been really phenomenal being able to put this together. And it's I think a test. It's the first of I think what will become a lot more of these opportunities that we give for the Texas voters.
There's no direct cost to this, right, Daniel?
Yeah, we're offering the Legislative Action Workshop absolutely for free.
Now they have to sign up because there's only so many seats at the table digitally, even, right? So you got to get in there and sign up. And I'm thinking that the members of the TNM are going to have first dibs, and anything that's left over is going to be for the public. And of course, we'd like them to be members of the TNM. Is that how you got it worked out, Daniel, or is it some other way?
No, it's rolled out. We rolled it out in stages. We made you're right. Registration is required, and that's just a function of how the platform works. But we rolled it out in stages before we even announced just publicly, before we even made the website accessible, the specific page on the website accessible to everybody else. We let our members know. We gave them first crack at registration. Then we rolled it out to the supporters, people that are on our email list and have connected with us there. And then we rolled it out to the public. So, we're ready. First session starts on Friday. And as the registrations have come in, we've had to scale up the platform. Within 4 hours of releasing it to the supporters, we were at 200% of capacity, and then we still rolled it out to the public. So we've made the commitment that we're going to scale as much as necessary and as possible to be able to accommodate as many people as want to attend. But it's all going to be based on registration. So, we're encouraging people that if they've seen things about it, if there's something in the workshop that's intriguing to them, go register now, because registrations for these things close on Friday at noon. So you've got up until Friday at noon to register, and just go get it done.
Talking with Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist Movement. The Legislative Action Workshop begins on Friday. You don't want to miss any of these sessions. Daniel, let's do that. You probably have the spreadsheet pulled up. I don't. I only have so much computer capacity. But let me do that. Hang on. You mean you don't have it memorized? Where's Kara? I'm sure she has it memorized.
She's on the phone. No, I've got it right here. Go ahead.
Let's go through it. Let's go through it and talk about when you look at how the guests were scheduled. Was it simply a function of scheduling when they were available, or did you construct the agenda with wanting to put a specific message, narrative, vision out there for them? Is it constructed in that way, or it's just like, hey, get the information out there and get these guys in here when they're available?
Really, the subject matter and scheduling were two different issues, but excuse me. Let me just bullet point, the kind of how the seed of this thing. Initially, we were going to do this as a standard kind of one-day workshop, okay, in a central location. And because of the response, when word got out that we were pulling this together, that's when we decided to utilize the platform and just expand it out and do it all digital.
So people didn't have to spend money for gas and hotels and things of that nature, and could just get the information. So the really and truly the first folks that we had approached, one was Rachel Malone. We'd been working to try to figure out how we were going to get Rachel to one of our events to conduct her Learn to Testify seminar that she does, her 2-hour workshop that really just is I think it's just it's the fundamentals. People, if anyone has any interest whatsoever in doing things with the legislature in this next session, she's been going all over. I don't know. She's had something crazy like 30 different trainings all over Texas. So
talking about Rachel Malone from Gun Owners of America. She's
right.
The new Texas chapter leader, and was inside the Texas GOP headquarters for a while, and involved in other grassroots activities, but has always been a strong Second Amendment advocate.
Right. And, the beautiful part about it is Rachel's presentation, and I'm not going to put words in her mouth. You just need to go register and see it. But, the great thing about Rachel's presentation is that when she started going around and delivering it, and she's, doing it to different organizations, different Tea Party groups, things of that nature, is that, while ostensibly she's doing it as a function of her being the state director for Gun Owners of America, she said that this presentation really approaches it from the standpoint of any particular issue. It gives you all the information for any particular issue that you want to go advocate for in the legislature. Like, some of the subject matter she's going to cover in her session deals with the legislative process, which you and I have both found out that just a lot of citizens out there just don't understand how the process works. And so it covers that. It covers testifying in committees and how to prepare to testify, and how to track bills. I mean, it really is the Texas Legislature 101. So, that's how. So when you see Rachel on there and you see State Representative Steve Toth, you see them because, they're up at the top because they committed first. They were going to participate in our sort of physical workshop. And so, Steve, when we approached him about, as far as scheduling goes, it was a matter for a lot of these guys of going, hey, within this time frame, when can you do this? And then it was a matter of kind of throwing some of the topics out there, what we thought they could bring to the conversation from their perspective. And
you're on State Representative Steve Toth returning to the Pink Dome out of the Woodlands.
Yeah, that's correct. And of course, we're having to reschedule Steve's presentation. I don't know if the listeners or the viewers, because we're welcome to the 21st century, right? I don't know, but if the folks know this, but Steve's mother recently passed, and so we're having to kind of work around that schedule as he goes home to be with his family, and we'll probably reschedule we're going to reschedule his session sometime after the December 7th to 14th window, but he's still going to be a part of it. But, as you go through the list of the various presenters, we would approach them based on what we knew about their subject matter, their specialty, the unique perspective they offered, and then we would tender an idea for the presentation. So that's why you have State Representative James White. It's going to be an interview with him where we talk about the various and sundry ways that the TNM was able to work with him and how we were able to carry that forward to having legislative success. And that's why you have someone like George Constantinides, who was a chairman of the Eastern Counties region of the UKIP, the UK Independence Party.
I want to address the international angle, possibly after the break, but the Texans that are involved with this, is where I want to focus. People like Teresa Beckmeyer that have a strong resume when it comes to liberty movement and grassroots activism, Tea Party involvement, and now heading up the Freedom Caucus from a director's perspective. Jonathan Stickland on the agenda, and other Texans that are involved, and then of course the international flavor. Just address the Texans involved, because there are those that would think that the preeminent organization for Texas independence would be a stain on those who are in the body politique, but any type of taint dealt with attached to the TNM has pretty much essentially been obliterated. This is mainstream conversation debated openly at the 2016 Texas GOP state convention, and it's no longer a political third rail. People don't run away from, some still do, but there are those that are saying, no, it's actually politically advantageous to be attached to the TNM and to their supporters.
Well, look, let's take this from a practical standpoint. You know, number one, the Texas nationalist movement has never advocated for anything that should be anathema to any elected official in Texas. Okay, I spoke at Southeast Texas Tea Party last night about the Alamo situation. You know, I gave about an hour and 15-20-minute presentation over this whole situation with the Alamo. And, you know, one of the things that I started off with in talking with them was I asked them how many people there believed that Texas was a free and independent state. And most of them raised their hands. And I said, that's great. Those of you who raised your hands understand that when elected officials take their oath of office, they too will raise their hand and swear an oath that they will support and defend those words, because that's the first words in the Texas Constitution. You know, Texas is a free and independent state, Article 1, Section 1. So, you know, then it becomes a matter from that standpoint in dealing with a lot of these elected officials and these various people of helping them understand really what it is the TNM is and what we're about. And, you know, so many of them, you know, here, let me hold up my prop. So many of them think that it's centered on this, and obviously, you know, obviously that topic is, you know, in this particular drive, it is not sort of an end in itself. I mean, it was a conclusion drawn from what our philosophy is, which is our mission, and that is the political, cultural, and economic independence of Texas. So when you have these guys out there and they take an oath to support the freedom and independence of Texas, and then you begin to connect with them and help them understand from an organizational standpoint that political, cultural, and economic independence all support that free and independent state status, then you find places where you can work with them. So, you know, you got, you know, these legislators on there. They may not support at this point a vote on independence, you know, giving Texans a Brexit-style vote, but we can get someone there that does, or we can help educate them that direction. But what we also can do is we can find these other areas where we have it in common, which is increasing the level of independence that Texas has. You know, we've got some intermediate steps we can work with them, or, you know, these cultural issues like we deal with the Alamo, or the economic issues like, you know, one of the folks you and I spoke about recently was Giovanni Capriglione. That's why we could work with him on the Texas Gold Depository Bill, because it supports economic independence. So, you know, that being said, the other part of this workshop / conference that works for these people is, you know, look, we've got these various sessions that we're doing. We're not asking someone like Teresa Beckmeyer to get on here and promote a Brexit-style vote here in Texas, or Jonathan Stickland. What we're asking them to do is share their expertise, their knowledge, their perspective in very specific areas that will speak to anyone who attends. That's why, you know, we're able to put, you know, Jonathan Stickland on the schedule and talking about the Speaker of the House, because that's going to apply to anyone, whether they're a TNM member, supporter, or anything else. But then we put our field director, Don Tier, on there to talk about a topic that I think people really ought to key in on, which is the importance of developing your personal story and getting through to these legislators. It is one of the most overlooked things. We have one of the biggest challenges.
Make it personal.
Well, they have to understand. I mean, let's take a policy issue that I think is a great example, and that is this idea of loosening the restrictions on marijuana. Okay. Now, you and I both know 10 years ago that thing was deader than Judas Iscariot. I mean, you couldn't get an elected official to turn their head on it. But then something changed, and that was that they began to bring in, and you even heard Abbott talk about it in his one debate with Lupe Valdez, how he softened his position. And that's because they brought in veterans with PTSD. They brought in these children that are, had these parents of children that are having seizures that can be cured by, cannabis-derived products. And so the importance of, their personal stories were able to make a difference in policy. And so, that applies no matter what. So, that's why we have a session like that, which is a very practical session. And I'll even throw this in there too, because the last time I was on, you and I actually talked about Obama's book, not Obama's book, but Groundbreakers, the book about Obama's 2008-2012 campaign and how he won, basically. And I will tell you that one of the key components of the training for the left, why they're able to organize so effectively, is that one of the things that they train their people to do from top to bottom is be able to essentially tell their story. And if you think it's just a matter of opening your mouth and giving out the verbal diarrhea of your 30-year background or whatever, your biography, that's not it. They literally train their people to, within 2 to 3 minutes, deliver their story in an impactful way that helps open people up to listen to the rest of what you have to say. So it's it really is a fascinating deal. So that being said, because this particular workshop is not specifically geared toward the TNM, we're not having these panelists up there specifically talking about a Brexit style vote here in Texas. We've got them talking about things that are going to apply across the board to a whole host of issues related to our mission. And frankly, since we opened it up to the public, any type of advocacy that people want to engage in.
I'm going to use my power as chief executive officer of this company, and I'm gonna scrap this stop set because there's other things I want to talk to you about. Go to the international aspect of it. I want you to talk about the international aspect of it because you have George coming in, you have the French Canadian coming in from Quebec, and of course we've talked about your international connections, previous blocks here on Raging Elephants Radio, and you've taken advantage of those international connections, and there's going to be an international flavor to the legislative action workshop beginning on this Friday. Talk about that for a moment, Daniel, please.
Yeah, that's not a problem. We threw in a couple of international speakers because we thought from the standpoint of what this conference was, and specifically those in the TNM and even outside the TNM that are interested in seeing that Brexit style vote here, what that looks like from the international perspective, right? And so, I mentioned George Constantinides earlier. George is a longtime friend. He and I were friends. We've been friends for a long time now that I think about it. But one of the sessions we wanted to do was we wanted to put George in there and let him talk about how UKIP, the UK Independence Party, went from being fragmented, very low support among British voters, to being the driving force that forced a Brexit vote. And even if you take the Brexit vote out of it, it's actually a really fascinating issue about how you can have a political party that enjoys virtually no electoral success. They don't have representatives elected into the British Parliament, but they were able to use that status and how they organized and how active they were to sway public opinion to go from being fragmented to being so well organized that they were able to pull the third highest vote total in the pre-Brexit general election, to forcing the prime minister to call for a Brexit vote and then being the driving force, even though they were virtually excluded from the main Brexit campaign, still being the main driving force to bring that Brexit vote home for the British voters. So it is a study in how they were able to turn that pressure group status into electoral success, and I believe George is going to have a fascinating session talking about that. And the same thing with with our good friend Jake over there from McGill University in Montreal. Well, and I don't know if he's going to be upset that you referred to him as a French Canadian. I don't know just how Quebecer he is.
Let's hide the video from him.
We'll bury it now.
I don't want to get off the wrong foot with this guy, man. I really would like to meet him at some point and strike up a friendship with him. But from my perspective, I want you to talk about why you invited him and all of that. But in previous conversations that we've had, you've emphasized that there's independence movements that are going on all over the place. Some that are more popularized than others,
right?
That are made known than others, and sometimes citizens operate here in Texas. It appears in a vacuum, as if this is a foreign idea, that it's really out of the box type of thinking. But when you take a global perspective, it is relatively a norm. And so the thinking within Texas really has to change. And when you bring Jake in, you're pushing him as, hey, look, this guy comes from Quebec, and they've already had a couple of referendums on this. You got Scotland. Of course, you got Brexit, conversations of other European nations wanting to break away from the EU. And independence fights on other continents and other cultures and civilizations.
Yeah.
So that's how I see the value of Jake coming in. What were you thinking about when you invited him to come in?
Well, Jake has a very interesting perspective, and I think I've spoken about this on your program before, but Jake is actually writing a book. He's in the process of writing a book comparing Quebec's independence movement with the independence movement here in Texas. And so I first met him. He interviewed me for the book in Houston. And Jake essentially flew to Texas and then rode a bus around. His first stop was in San Antonio, where he became familiar with the Alamo, and he went over to Houston and spent some time there, interviewed some professors at Rice University. But I mean, he's working on this book, making the comparisons. And during the interview process, Jake and I began to compare notes, and he filled me in on a lot of the history of Quebec's independence movement that I had never heard. I mean, this was phenomenal stuff. And he's writing this book because the comparisons are there. I mean, you can make comparisons about Quebec's movement for self-government and the movement for self-government here in Texas. And so there were so many similarities, and there were some things that were just completely different because, as I've said time and time again, every country pursues their independence based on their political, their current political status, their structure, the framework, their culture. So so everyone is actually unique, but there are comparisons that can be drawn. And so while people may not, on initial thought, be interested in hearing about Quebec, I mean, they may have no interest in it. The fact of the matter is that Quebec, as a province of Canada, has a unique culture, a unique identity. They much like Texas, are intertwined with with Canada, much like Texas is with the United States. But yet they went to the polls twice in referenda to vote for their independence, and they both times it lost. So there are lessons that can be mined out of that. that I think are worth sharing in a session at this legislative action workshop, because that stuff didn't happen in a vacuum. I mean, the referenda didn't just materialize out of thin air. I mean, there were electoral processes in place, social and political forces in play that Texans would do very well to take a look at.
Daniel, just real quick, man. I only have a few minutes left, and I, edited it out, called an audible, no break. Can you give us a bit of an update of what's going on with the Alamo? Just a few minutes on what's kind of going on. Is anything moving and shaking on that particular issue? Because as I was telling everybody at the beginning of the program, to end out the legislative action workshop of the TNM beginning on this Friday, to end it out several days later, is going to be a blockbuster panel on the Alamo situation, highlighting former Land Commissioner Jerry Patterson, who is on top of this situation. And everybody knows when Jerry latches on to an issue, his pants are on fire. So talk about it just a little bit, Daniel, please.
Yeah, just really quickly, we haven't even publicly announced it yet. So congratulations, Claver, you did it. but we're
I got the scoop.
You got the scoop. We put together a panel to speak specifically about the Alamo, and while all these other sessions are, single presenters along with our organizer, our host, this Alamo one's going to be a panel.
That would be yours truly. The host would be, in case people were just wondering, yours truly.
Yes, Claver is going to be hosting. He's going to be the facilitator on all these different panels, and so I'm excited
to get the best in Texas, and that's all that matters.
Well, it's going to be phenomenal. But look, we're doing an entire panel on the Alamo, and we can just go to the website. That's supposed to be up this afternoon when we announce. But the bottom line about the Alamo is, look, Claver, it all comes down to legislative session. I had a conversation with Senator Bob Hall yesterday in relation to his legislation he filed, which is SJR 2. What Senator Hall is proposing is a constitutional amendment that will effectively place any changes to the narrative, the presentation of the Alamo under legislative oversight. So essentially, his bill, what he's trying to do through this constitutional amendment, is constitutionally protect the Alamo, or at least oversight of the Alamo, regardless of where it winds up, whether it's under GLO or goes to Texas Parks and Wildlife, however that shakes out, to place it under legislative oversight. And so I think it's very promising because it addresses specifically the narrative, which is frankly our big concern right now. Look, if you go to our website at tnm.me and you click on Defend the Alamo, there's a big link there. It'll actually highlight the 5 demands that we made back in 2013. The Alamo Master Plan ticks off about 3 or 4 of those boxes. But the fact of the matter is that the underlying ideology that is trying to push this is what's frightening. While the Alamo Master Plan looks very nice on the outside with the museum and the restoring the footprint and all of those things, the fact is that it's being used as a Trojan horse for what we consider a very dangerous ideology in the retelling of the story of the Alamo. And I will tell you, Claver, and I'll end with this because I know that you've got another guest coming on, but here's what people need to understand about the Alamo right now. When we talk about Texas being a free and independent state, and it stands on those 3 pillars of the political, cultural, and economic independence, the base of that cultural pillar is the Alamo. And so we cannot lose this battle of the Alamo. We cannot allow the ideology of the Castros who believe that the Alamo defenders were not heroes, but drunks, imperialists, and slavers. We cannot allow that story to
the Castros of San Antonio, Joaquin Wackadoo and Hooligan Castro, the Castro brothers of San Antonio, the former mayor, former HUD director, and current Congressman Joaquin Castro, former state representatives. They're the ones that are pushing this stuff. Now, their mother was communist, right?
Well, yeah, she ran for, I believe, San Antonio City Council officially under La Raza Unita's banner. So, there's an inkling there. But look, I won't get into it all right now, but I'm just going to encourage people to go to our website, tnm.me, click on the Defend the Alamo link. You'll see it right there, right close to the top of the page.
And sign up for the panel. The panel's going to be killer.
Yeah, go register for the workshop. Go download. If you fill in your information on the Defend the Alamo page, we'll send you links to reports, including one that details this ideology that they're trying to get snuck in to the Alamo to retell the story of our heroes. So definitely go check it out. Go sign up for all of our stuff. I mean, who am I kidding? Just go to our website.
Become a member, doggone it. What are you talking about? Become a member. $18.36 per month, for crying out loud. You don't have to worry about all of this because anything the TNM is doing will be right there in your inbox.
TNM.me/join all day long, or better yet, click the link on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
Yeah,
hey, I did a spot for you.
I appreciate that. I have to cut that out. It's only about 3 seconds, but I'm sure I can drop it in there somewhere. Thanks, Daniel. Talk to you later, man.
Thanks, Claver.
Raging Elephants Radio. Coming up next is going to be Ricardo Regalado. This with a name like that, I mean, you can't cut the stream. Ricardo Regalado. Down, ladies. Down. Daniel, talk to you later, man.
Thanks, Claver.
Texas independence. Have you ever thought about
Raging Elephants Radio. Coming up next is going to be Ricardo
Sam Houston said Texas will raise
Regalado.
Was he a dreamer?
This with a name like that, I mean, you can't cut
these
the
questions in the book Lying in the Sand by Daniel Miller.
Regalado.
Says it's required reading for every
Down,
Texan.
ladies.
Lying in the Sand by Daniel Miller gives you the information you need to be prepared to give an answer to anyone that asks. As a Raging Elephants Radio listener, you are the go-to person for your friends. RagingElePhantsRadio.com. This book is more than a good read. It will equip you to reach others while pursuing a better future for your family. Get your copy now by clicking on the link on RagingElePhantsRadio.com. RagingElePhantsRadio.com. That's RagingElePhantsRadio.com. Since a portion of the proceeds goes to support Raging Elephants Radio, it may be time for you to cross that line in the sand.